Today we are going to talk about different gathering techniques. There's a couple different ways you can do this, and you can use either your serger or your sewing machine. The first one I am going to show you is actually using elastic. So I just have some scrap pieces here. We are going to pretend this is the bodice and this is the skirt. So when you're attaching a skirt to a bodice and you don't quite feel like gathering and you want to give it a little bit more stability, you can use elastic. I use either some thin 1/4 inch elastic or I use clear elastic. I don't have any more clear elastic at the moment, so I'm going to just show you with my 1/4 inch elastic. Now what you are going to do when you have your skirt and you have your bodice and they're two different sizes, you are going to measure the bodice with the elastic, and you're going to want to give yourself about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch on each side, just a little bit extra for pulling when you're attaching. So you are going to cut your elastic, just cut a little bit over the bodice length, that way you have a little extra for pulling. And then the next thing you are going to do is find the center of the skirt and the center of the elastic. Attach those in place. If you're taking off any seam allowance, you're going to want to put it a little bit in and make sure you're getting your seam allowance correct. Just for the sake of this, I'm going to just say it's 1/4 inch seam allowance and just attach it to the edge. Then remember you had your little bit of extra hanging off, so make sure you have that same amount of extra hanging off here as well. Pin or clip it in place. Same on this side, make sure you have that little extra hanging off to get yourself started and end and give yourself a little bit pull. So you have it. You can add a couple more clips if you would prefer. I tend to just do a couple, that way it's easier to pull. And then once you have it clipped or pinned in place, you can either use your serger or you can use your sewing machine to attach it. If you're using your sewing machine, use a zigzag stitch, and you are going to stretch the elastic to the length of the fabric as you are sewing. I'm going to go ahead and use my serger, and I will take you over there and show you how I do this. Once I am at my serger, I'm going to get it set up. So go ahead and get the little bit at the front attached. Once you have this first little bit attached, that way you know it's not going to go anywhere, you are going to stretch the elastic to the length of the fabric. And as you are sewing, you are going to be stretching the elastic the entire time. And there is your gathered piece. Now back over with our bodice piece, you can see that your skirt piece is gathered and it is now the same length as your bodice piece. So it is ready to be attached. Another gathering option is using your serger. Now, every serger is going to be different, so you're going to want to check your manual instructions. For mine, when it comes to gathering, I turn my left needle all the way up to a 9 as far as it can go. My right one all the way up as far as it can go. And then I turn my differential feed as high as it will go. I also turn off my knife when I am gathering. Go ahead and start my little tail. I'm gonna go ahead and start my gathering. And there you go. You can see my piece is all gathered. If it's not quite gathered enough for you, you can take your serger tails. I typically use a needle, it makes it easier. And just separate out the thread pieces. I like to pull out the needle threads. Separate those. We also have a really good blog post on this for using your serger to gather as well if you like to see written instructions. And then take the needle threads and you can just pull them to gather more if it's not quite gathered enough for what you are needing. And there you go. You can just gather it as much as you need, as less as you need for your individual projects. Another option for gathering is using your sewing machine. And for this method, we are going to just sew 2 gathering stitches. I like to lower my tension a little bit on my sewing machine. And I increase my stitch length. I typically go up to about a 4 or a 4.5. Now you are going to sew your 2 gathering stitches. Some patterns have specific instructions on where they would like them sewn. Typically the first one is at a 1/4 inch, and then you do over either another 1/4 inch or an 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to go ahead and sew those up, and I will show you how we gather with those. I have my 2 gathering stitches. Then I'm going to flip it over and I take my bobbin threads and I gently pull those together. And then just continue to do it all the way across your piece that you need. This is a little bit more time consuming, but I feel like with this method, you can control the gathers a little bit more and get them a little bit more even. Another tip for gathering and ruffles, something that I found and I like to do is once you have your piece completely gathered, there you can see that it's all gathered with the 2 gathering stitches. I take it to my ironing board and I give it a good press up here. It makes it lay a little bit neater and makes it a little bit more even when you are attaching it. And there's gathering with 2 gathering stitches. Another method, which is using your sewing machine as well, is turning your tension all the way up. All the way up to a 9. So I have it turned all the way up. I'm gonna turn the length of my stitch up to about a 4. And you just start sewing and it gathers for you. There you go. You can see there, when you turn it all the way up, mine goes to a 9. Every machine is going to be different on what it goes to in your settings, but it gathers for you. I hope those techniques helped. I would love to hear if you have any other gathering techniques. There is also one more gathering technique that we did not go over that we are going to go over in a little bit more depth in another video, and that is using a gathering foot. But for now, I hope you enjoyed these different gathering techniques, and I hope you have a great day.